the truth. You can't handle the truth. Truth.
And now, live from the Star Worldwide Studios Tower, overlooking the fifth largest city in America and heard worldwide, it's the Josh Bernstein Show. Liberal hypocrisy and leftist lunacy exposed and dismantled with intellect and facts. And now, here's your unapologetic host, Josh Bernstein.
What if the goal of the Democratic Party is to steal the most valuable thing the world has ever produced? What if their plan is to steal America?
Welcome to another hard-hitting edition of the Josh Bernstein Show. The Josh Bernstein Show starts where the rest of the media ends. Shameless plug to start the show for Dinesh D'Souza, a great patriot. He's got a new movie coming out during the Democratic National Convention, and it's going to be a fantastic movie that's going to not only expose Hillary Clinton, but the Democrat Party, their history, and it should be a very detailed movie. All of his movies have been fantastic. I'm sure that this one is going to be just as good as the others. We got a great show for you today. We got a lot to cover. We're going to go in depth, and I mean in depth, into who are the donors to the Clinton Foundation. We're going to name names. We're going to go through the different corporations, different people that have given millions upon millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. Then, a little bit later on, we're going to see who Bernie Sanders supporters would like to see for their vice presidential pick if Bernie Sanders was to ever become the nominee. This one you gotta see to believe. And then, a little bit later on in the program, we're going to be joined by Trevor Loudon. Trevor Loudon is a great patriot, a fantastic person, a speaker, an author. He wrote the books The Enemy Within. He exposed the communists, socialists, and progressives in our U.S. Congress. And he also is the one responsible for showing the relationship between Barack Obama and Frank Marshall Davis, communist ID number 47544. So, this is going to be a rockin' solid show. But first, you know, my mother always told me that, Josh, you're judged by the company that you keep. And we saw the company that Barack Obama has kept, from illegal alien coddling priest Father Flager to corrupt landowner Tony Rezko to Reverend Jeremiah Goddamn America Wright. And of course, let's not forget him palling around, as Sarah Palin rightfully said, with a terrorist in the name of Bill Ayers. Well, Hillary Clinton also has an award-winning list of confidants and people that she has been associated, many of which are no longer here to even talk about Hillary and Bill Clinton because they're now pushing up daisies or have been silenced or have been raped or murdered or whatever. I mean, the body trail is long, folks. All you have to do is do some research and you can find out for yourself. So now, one of those longtime confidants, one of those longtime Clintonistas, if you will, Terry McAuliffe, the current governor of Virginia, a real snake oil salesman, to say the least, former chairman of her campaign, and also a director at the Clinton Foundation, is now under federal investigation. And what's interesting is he's shocked about it. He's shocked. Like, oh my God, how could you be investigating me for bank fraud and illegal donations to the Clinton Foundation? I mean, come on. What are you talking about? Why would you be coming after me? Well, it's very simple. because you've been a part of the Clinton Foundation, which I believe, as I've said in previous shows, is America's largest money laundering operation in U.S. history. And therefore, a lot of the other people that are associated with that foundation, whether it be businesses, whether it be foreign dignitaries, whether it be people in Hollywood, you all better watch out, because this investigation, this FBI investigation, is now starting to focus where it should have always been focused. I've said from the beginning, the email gate scandal in Benghazi is a fracture of what the FBI's total scope in investigativeness should be. It should be, as hopefully and rightfully it will be, on the Clinton Foundation itself. Now, what I want to do now is I want to go through some of, not all, because when I get to the end number of how many, your mind will be blown. But I'm going to go through some of the major, and I mean major donors of the Clinton Foundation. Now, none of what I'm going to say here is illegal by the Clinton Foundation. It doesn't show anything other than peddling of influence, lobbyist power, money, and favors, basically. Now, these people that I'm going to announce, they're everyday people, some of them, companies and corporations that everyone has heard of for the most part. And again, they're not doing anything illegal. But the reason I'm pointing out, and again, this is public knowledge, public record, the reason I'm pointing it out is that you, the voter out there, should understand who is bought and paid for, and why, if God forbid Hillary Clinton was president, none of her campaign promises, none of anything that she says that she would do would ever happen. Why? Very simple. Because she is beholden to all of these donors to the Clinton Foundation. So, without further ado, let's talk about the $25 million donors and above. Okay? You've got Bill and Melinda Gates, Microsoft, the Gates Foundation. You've got the Clinton Giestra Enterprise, which, if you've been watching this show for any length of time, you saw a show that I did a couple of months ago in which I exposed the Frank Giestra Clinton Enterprise, quote, charity in Canada. I explained that it was a money laundering operation. I explained that because of the Canadian rules, you do not have to disclose who your foreign dignitaries are, who your corporations are, who any of the people are that donate directly to that offshore in Canada enterprise or foundation. Frank Giestra, again, former head of Lionsgate Entertainment, somebody that is big in the entertainment industry, but is also big in futures and minerals and things like that, as far as precious gems and minerals. He's the one that went to Kazakhstan and convinced the Kazakhstani leader to sell the mineral rights to him so that he could mine for precious, minerals and gems and things like that with Bill Clinton. Extremely corrupt individual. Well, the Clinton Foundation, again, because of the rules in Canada not being able to allow a disclosure of who's donating, the Clinton Foundation tells people to donate that are outside of the United States directly to this Frank Giestra Enterprises, and then the Frank Giestra Enterprises makes one big giant donation directly to the Clinton Foundation. Textbook 101 money laundering. So they are a big player in this as well. You also have the homosexual multimillionaire and chairman of NewsWeb Corporation and the Alpha Wood Foundation, which are big in the LGBT communities. That's Fred A. Chainer and the Alfred Foundation. You also have some legitimate folks, the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, a British advocacy group focused on health and famine and AIDS prevention around the world. So again, there's going to be some in there that are legit and good folks as well. Now, the $10 million to $25 million donors, this is where it gets crazy. government of Australia, government of Norway, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the government of Qatar, the government of the United Arab Emirates, the Rockefeller Foundation. That's the New World Order for you. That's one of the 13 families that literally run the entire world, the international banksters, as they be. The government of Sweden is another one. Now, those were the $10 million to $25 million donor threshold. $5 million to $10 million, you've got Sheikh Mohammed Al Amoudi, a billionaire oil tycoon with very close ties to the Saudi family, and is the richest person alive in Ethiopia, where he is from. You've got musician Elton John. Follow the yellow brick road and the money to the Clinton Foundation. You've got the government of the Netherlands. Who else do you have? You've got the government of Kuwait. You've got the Coca-Cola organization. Coca-Cola is Coke. Government of Morocco. Government of Oman. So you can see the entire Middle East is in Hillary and Bill Clinton's back pockets. They are funding the radicalness and the craziness, if you will, of the Clinton Foundation. Now, the 1 million to 5 million threshold, you've got Green Revolution for Africa. You've got Nasser al-Rashid, a Saudi multimillionaire. You got the American Federation of Teachers, so obviously the teachers and the teachers' unions are supporting Hillary Clinton. Anheuser-Busch Foundation. So if you're a beer drinker and Anheuser-Busch, there you go. They're supporting the Clintons. Michael Bloomberg, you know, the guy who wants to regulate how much soda you can drink and then take all of your handguns and guns away from you. He's part of it. Blue Cross and Blue Shield, insurance giants. Richard Blum, Dianne Feinstein's husband in the Senate. Exxon Mobil, General Electric, Hewlett Packard, HSBC, Humana Healthcare, Monsanto Company, James Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch's son, and also Rupert Murdoch himself from one other than Fox News Channel. And here's a surprise, even Newsmax Media Incorporation has given millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. So when I do say that it is truly the Globalcratic Party of Washington, now you know why I say that. Open Society Institute. These are for folks that are totally against any kind of immigration control in any country, let alone America, but Canada and all of Western Europe. Pfizer Incorporated, Procter & Gamble, Steven Spielberg, the famous director, Boeing Corporation, Goldman Sachs, Barbara Streisand, Walmart, Toyota, Yahoo, and the list goes on and on and on. That's the 1 million to 5 million threshold. Guess how many are under 1 million that I have not mentioned? How about a whopping 330,811 more individual donors to the Clinton Foundation? As this investigation unfolds, I'm hoping that James Comey and the FBI really start to look at all of the information that's out there on the Clinton Foundation. Now again, all of these donors, this is public record. And I'm not saying that there's anything bad with any one of them. But what I am saying and pointing out, that Hillary Clinton is bought and paid for, and she will be beholden to every one of these people that have given money, resources, time, and effort to her, to Bill Clinton, to cover-ups, to their campaign, to their former presidency, and to their lifestyle. Now, I haven't even gotten into the amount of money that she's gotten for all of her speeches and the companies that have hired her. Maybe I'll do that on another program. But remember, folks, there are another 330,000 more donors. You know, the joke around Washington is that politicians should have to wear a jacket, and on that jacket it should have patches for each one of all of their different sponsors. ExxonMobil, this one, healthcare, that one, right? Hillary Clinton would not be able to wear a jacket. She wouldn't even be able to wear a long coat. You could literally not fill the entire inside of the jacket, outside of the jacket, and inside the pockets. There'd still be hundreds of thousands of sponsors left. Hillary Clinton needs to create one of those gigantic quilts that you see for, like, you know, the sadness of, you know, AIDS or illegal alien victims, where there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of victims. That's what Hillary Clinton needs. They need to roll out, you know, like the American flag at the Super Bowl, where they bring out the band and they all hold a corner or a side of the American flag, and it's like 100 feet long. That's the size of a quilt that Hillary Clinton would need, front and back, and still would probably have a few donors left hanging. She is bought and paid for, folks. It is 330,000 more reasons to vote for Donald Trump in November. I'll be right back.
You're tuning into the Josh Bernstein Show, where Josh covers the news the way the liberal media would not dare.
Spotlight Ventures Media, turning brands into stars. The times, they are a-changin'. Traditional media outlets are no longer effective and are quickly going out of style. Today's top brands have become aware of the new media landscape and are reaching their customers where they are most active, online. Spotlight Ventures Media is a full-service internet advertising and online marketing agency. We turn brands into stars with personalized services aimed at getting your business center stage and captivating your customers. Our solutions are proven to engage customers, increase market share, and provide a measurable return on investment for your business. How do we do it? Retargeting. Spotlight Ventures Media specializes in retargeting. If a customer leaves your site before making a purchase, we keep their attention on your brand by customizing and placing your ads on other sites they visit and lead them back to your site to seal the deal. Get the exposure and sales your company deserves. Contact us today and send your brand strolling down the red carpet in no time. Spotlight Ventures Media, turning brands into stars.
Josh Bernstein here. You all know me as the hard-hitting and unapologetic conservative talk show host of the top-ranked Josh Bernstein Show. But did you also know that I have a softer side as well? I am proud and honored to be an official spokesman for a really great group known as the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC for short. AMAC is a group focused squarely on meeting the needs and protecting the interests of America's seniors. We offer a conservative alternative on how to best solve the problems seniors face today. From saving Social Security to gaining more access and control over your health care, to answering your health-related questions and providing you with the products, services, and solutions that you seek. So if you are a senior 50 years of age or older and do not want more government-run and controlled healthcare solutions, there is another option. AMAC is better for America, and AMAC's got your back. AMAC.US. AMAC.US.
You're tuning into The Josh Bernstein Show, where liberalism is a mental disorder. And Josh is the cure.
Welcome back to the program. A little bit later on, after this short segment, we're going to be joined by Trevor Loudon. Trevor Loudon is a great patriot, and he's written a couple of great books, and right now he's working on trying to get a movie done off of his book, The Enemy Within. This is the gentleman who has exposed Barack Obama and his radical ties, including the radicalness and the ties to the Communist Party and known communists and socialists and progressives in our U.S. Congress. So you do not want to miss that interview coming up here shortly. But, you know, we've all heard about Hillary Clinton and who she may pick for VP. I've been, pretty outspoken on the fact that I think there's a very good chance that it could be Julian Castro, the current HUD secretary and former mayor of San Antonio. I called that back in 2014. I've done previous shows on it, and I'm still sticking with the fact that I think that could be the choice. We've also heard Tim Kaine. We've heard Sherrod Brown. We have also heard Cory Booker. But we've also heard now that Harry Reid's not too happy about allowing anyone out of the Senate that is coming from a state that is run with a Republican governor. So Christie in New Jersey, that kind of puts the dampers on Booker. And Sherrod Brown, you've got John Kasich in Ohio, so that puts the dampers on Sherrod Brown. But there's been a bunch of other names mentioned, Elizabeth Warren among them, and some others. But what about Bernie Sanders? What if the greatest thing in the world actually happens and Hillary Clinton is actually indicted? What if it actually happens? She's indicted. She's forced to leave the race. And because of the fact that Bernie Sanders is in this race to the end, they decide to give the nomination to Bernie Sanders. Who would he, a socialist, a committed, admitted socialist, who would he pick as his VP choice? Well, Karl Marx is dead. Vladimir Putin is running Russia. And I don't know, in Venezuela, Maduro is basically taken that country and just turned it into an absolute dilapidated cesspool. It is so bad in Venezuela, they are literally killing their own pets and eating rats to survive because of the food shortages and the inflation and everything else. So there you go. There's your socialism hard at work for you in Venezuela. But who could then possibly be Bernie Sanders' pick for VP? Who do those feeling the burn supporters out there would like to see on the ticket? Go ahead and roll this clip.
People's comments on Bernie Madoff now being chosen by Bernie Sanders to be his VP.
I got nothing for you. I'm digging your shirt. Yeah, I dig your shirt though.
Here, let me give you some stickers.
I was hoping you were going to go.
Oh, can I get one of them?
You want to switch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Bernie Sanders bringing Bernie Madoff aboard as his vice presidential pick to, sort of help clean up Wall Street. Good idea, you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Madoff kind of knows the Wall Street insider, former Wall Street insider himself, so now it looks like it'll be Bernie, which is kind of unique as well.
All the Burns.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I'll say so, sure.
Bernie Sanders just announced his vice presidential choice, Bernie Madoff, the Wall Street wizard. So now it's Bernie 2016, just getting people's comments. Good idea choosing Bernie Madoff as his running mate?
I heard, I don't know Bernie Madoff, but one person told me about him and said good things. So if he's as good as the person says, then I'm all for it.
You trust Bernie's decision, right?
From what I heard, what I was told by this person about what Bernie's about, I'm all for it.
Okay. Bernie Madoff, the Wall Street wizard. So now it's going to be Bernie
Wow.
2016. Good choice? Picking Bernie Madoff as his VP, even though they have the same first name?
I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty badass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just getting people's opinions on whether that's going to help his candidacy. Do you think that'll give him a little boost in the polls?
I think a financial advisor is probably a good thing. Everyone's worried about the economy.
Hold on.
So everyone's worried about the economy, so having someone with a strong background in finance would be good for his campaign.
Madoff has decades of knowledge of financial advising and insider knowledge, so it's a good idea basically to bring him aboard as Bernie Sanders VP?
I think so, yeah. Having a strong finance background, that's what we're all looking for.
So you're feeling the burn even more now.
Feeling the burn.
It's Bernie 2016 now that it's Bernie Sanders and Bernie Madoff.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for your thoughts.
No problem.
Bernie's coming to town tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he also has announced his VP pick, Bernie Madoff, so the Wall Street Wizard. What's so funny?
Madoff is no good.
Oh,
Bernie, okay.
So, see, we got to talk to the millennials. See, they know. Anybody over the age of like 30, then their brain starts to function properly.
Yeah.
If Bernie Sanders has enough faith in Bernie Madoff to bring him aboard and officially endorse him as his VP. You think that's probably still a good idea? I mean, you still support Bernie, right?
Yeah, I would assume from his other policies that he knows what he's talking about.
Bringing Madoff aboard, obviously he's quite familiar with his, financial history and everything he's done. So, just checking to see if people think it's a good idea, or if you were going to flip over and support Hillary because of the Bernie Madoff issue.
No.
Still support Bernie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But Bernie has announced his VP running mate now, also named Bernie. Bernie Madoff, a big financial advisor.
Okay.
Just getting people's opinions if that's going to help.
Yeah.
Help Bernie, you think?
From what I hear, he's kind of starting a revolution, right? He wants to do a lot. He wants to help a lot of people, a lot of low-income individuals. And I think since he got another Bernie Madoff as his VP, I think that'll really solidify his position. And it won't be so much as he's just saying things. He's actually going to back it with his support as a VP. But
especially since Mr. Madoff has an extensive financial history.
Exactly. Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Can you believe it, folks? Can you believe this? First of all, I love Mark Dice. He's done a bunch of these. He's great. He's fantastic. He's wearing a Hitlery t-shirt, okay, with the little Hitler mustache on it. Only one person ends up noticing it. But I got to say this, man, to the Bernie Sanders supporters out there. Do you ever read the news? Ever? Or is it just comic books and High Times magazine? Are you guys ever going to crack a book? Are you ever going to look at history? Ever? You people are so stupid. Let me just say it point blank. And by the way, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, please send the hate mail to the Josh Bernstein Show at gmail.com. I love to read it, or just put it in the comments on this video. But I got to tell you, man, the Bernie Sanders supporters, what do you love about Bernie Sanders? Well, he's against the establishment. He wants to take the money out of politics, and he wants to crack down on Wall Street, right? You people are clueless. You have no idea what Bernie Sanders is about, and you're literally walking through life in a fog. If you ever read the news, okay, you would know that Bernie Madoff, who they all said would be a great addition to a Bernie Sanders, Bernie Madoff ticket, is currently serving 150 years in prison, you idiots. 150 years in prison. Why? Because he has swindled hundreds of thousands of people, investors, bankers, CEOs, people in Hollywood, governments, you name it. This guy, he's even swindled and taken money from his own family members. This is more proof that this generation coming up are brain dead. You are a bunch of zombie, brain dead idiots. You ought to crack open a history book once in a while, pay attention to something other than High Times magazine, put down the peace pipes, and figure out that your ignorance is not bliss. You folks should not be allowed to vote. Seriously, you should not be allowed to vote, because you cannot be this stupid and this ignorant to know that Bernie Madoff is the largest Ponzi scheme swindler in American history, other than, of course, the Clinton Foundation itself. America, we are in bad shape when we have people out there that don't even know who Bernie Madoff is, and they think he'd be a great addition to a socialist, communist, Marxist ticket in Bernie Sanders. The Bernie and Bernie ticket. Please, America would look like Ethiopia, Iran, and North Korea within the first 2 years of that. Wake the hell up. And if you're going to be a moronic Bernie supporter, at least know the hell what his policies are, which are nothing but taxing the rich, enacting 75 to 90% tax rates that would make Francois Hollande in France jealous, and free education, free this and free that. Nothing is free, you idiots. Nothing is free. It's going to be attached to your freedom, your liberty, and your prosperity. But you know what? I don't blame all of you. I don't. I blame your parents, I blame your school administrators, and I blame your teachers for indoctrinating you morons to the point where you think Bernie Madoff would be a good addition to Bernie Sanders' tickets. I love exposing how stupid you all are. Now, I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to have Trevor Loudon, someone with an intellect level and someone who understands the threat that is going on in America. I'll be right back.
Spotlight Ventures Media, turning brands into stars. The times, they are a-changin'. Traditional media outlets are no longer effective and are quickly going out of style. Today's top brands have become aware of the new media landscape and are reaching their customers where they are most active, online. Spotlight Ventures Media is a full-service internet advertising and online marketing agency. We turn brands into stars with personalized services aimed at getting your business center stage and captivating your customers. Our solutions are proven to engage customers, increase market share, and provide a measurable return on investment for your business. How do we do it? Retargeting. Spotlight Ventures Media specializes in retargeting. If a customer leaves your site before making a purchase, we keep their attention on your brand by customizing and placing your ads on other sites they visit and lead them back to your site to seal the deal. Get the exposure and sales your company deserves. Contact us today and send your brand strolling down the red carpet in no time. Spotlight Ventures Media, turning brands into stars.
Every once in a while, someone needs a hand. To hold, to comfort, to lift. All across America, people are joining hands with AMAC to support our nation's greatest values. Every AMAC member makes a difference, and the more who join, the stronger America will be. Stand with those who stand for freedom. Join AMAC. Better for you, better for America.
You're tuning into The Josh Bernstein Show, where liberalism is a mental disorder. And Josh is the cure.
Hi guys, it's Trevor Loudon here, working hard on the film The Enemies Within. Thanks so much for your contributions over the last week. We still need more. We haven't got to our target yet. Anything you can give will help to get the movie in the theatres that much quicker. We're working hard on the project. It's looking great, and we can't wait to get it out to the public and then shock this country. So thanks for your support, and please keep it rolling in.
Welcome back to the program. Now, I know that last segment was certainly a little heated, so I decided to look through some of Hillary, and I found a real doozy on Bikram yoga, and I read up on it, and I practiced a couple of steps. So I'm nice and calm now, and I'm ready to get going with the interview. My guest today is a New Zealand author, speaker, and activist who loves America just as much as his native country. He is the author of two amazing books, Barack Obama and The Enemies Within, and The Enemies Within, Communists, Socialists, and Progressives in Our U.S. Congress. It is my pleasure to welcome Trevor Loudon to the program. Trevor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. Thanks for having me on.
Good. I'm glad to have you on. I know that we've been trying to hook up now for the past couple of years, and we keep missing each other on schedules and things like that. So I'm glad we were able to finally do that. Now, I want to talk about a lot of different things. I want to talk about your books, of course. I want to talk about the movie now that is going to be created from your books. But I got to ask you this. I've said on many shows in the past that we haven't seen anything yet. Barack Obama and this administration's most dangerous times, I believe, will be in the waning months of his presidency. We've seen some of the things that he's already done, mandating, little girls to go to the bathroom with full-grown men in drag. I mean, we've seen some of the crazy things that this administration has done. Let me ask you, in your opinion, what do you think, if you had to guess, what could be coming down the pike next?
Well, we've just seen, big steps towards normalization relations with Cuba, which is absolutely disastrous. The lifting of the arms embargo on Vietnam, and what you're going to see there is you're going to see American taxpayers' money going to Vietnam to pay for the damage that your troops did with Agent Orange during the war when they were fighting off a communist invasion. That's coming soon. You will see a massive push towards huge immigration from the Middle East and an increased pressure to amnesty and give citizenship to 8, 10, 12, 20 million illegals. They aim to use the illegal vote and the immigrant vote to basically swamp the Republicans and take the election. And that'll be the last meaningful election America has if they have their way. So they'll be the main things to look at. So there'll be more social stuff as well, more ordinances, basically mandating that developers have to put, low-income people into new developments. They're basically trying to equalize wealth and wealth distribution all over the country, and that means putting poor people into conservative districts. People they can sign up to vote Democrat to basically destroy the conservative bases across this country.
I agree with you there, and I've done a show on that in the past. And actually, Julian Castro is leading the effort through the Housing and Urban Development entity of our government. And what he's trying to do is literally erase white suburbia and rural America by forcing the integration, as you just eloquently said, of poor people into very wealthy neighborhoods, and then allowing them the government handouts and the benefits. I mean, there's situations where a working class couple worked their tails off, they went to college, they got a great job, they did everything right. They make $8,000 to $10,000 a month legitimately for them and their families, and yet they'll bring in a refugee or an illegal alien family into the same wealthy neighborhood, and they'll be making the same $6,000 to $8,000 a month, all based on government expenditures and handouts and benefits. And you are correct in the fact that that is something that they are working on behind the scenes. I've actually talked about that in the past.
Just to add, Julian Castro is very much like Obama. He comes from a Marxist family out of San Antonio. His whole family was involved with the Communist Party, and he is probably going to be on a Democratic VP or presidential ticket in the future. He's basically the Latino Obama. He's a stealth Marxist.
Without a doubt. Him and his twin brother Joaquin, they were literally raised on Rosie's knee to be Marxist revolutionaries and separatists. And let's not forget, she's a co-founder of La Raza, and La Raza's political arm, Movimiento Estudiantil Atzlon, whatever, is part of the Reconquista movement, which basically wants to take parts of California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas and bring it back to Mexico. You are correct in the fact, and by the way, Trevor, I actually predicted in May of 2014 that I believe that he will be the Democratic nominee for vice president on Hillary's ticket. I could be wrong, but
that's been the plan for some time. It depends whether Hillary is actually the candidate. If it isn't Hillary with Julian Castro, it'll be Joe Biden with Elizabeth Warren. That's the options they have in front of them right now.
So you don't think it would be Bernie Sanders and somebody else?
No. They want to get rid of Bernie as soon as they can. He's served his purpose. He's being a bit annoying because he's hanging on longer than he was supposed to have. Mm-hmm. But really the Democrat powers that be, they want Hillary, but Hillary is too damaged, and the backup option will be probably Joe Biden running with Elizabeth Warren, and Elizabeth Warren will soak up the Bernie Sanders votes. The Bernie Sanders people, the people backing Bernie wanted Warren first. Bernie was their second option.
Right. Yes, I know that. And I find it hard to believe there'd be a girl ticket, with Hillary and Elizabeth Warren. But look, she just attacked Trump. I think it was last night or the night before. I saw a video. She's vicious. And again, as a VP, one of the most important traits of a vice president is to be that attack dog, a vicious attack dog. And there's no question about it that she would be a vicious attack dog. We've also heard now that we don't think that there's going to be a senator from a Republican-governed state because they're worried about the appointment and losing the Senate. I know Harry Reid has been in an uproar about that. But I want to get back to another point that you made when I asked you about what do you think the scorched earth policy of Barack Obama's waning months will be. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think that they prepared for it in about 2014 with Operation Illegal Dump, in which you brought all of these young 14 to 16-year-old kids from Central America and Mexico into the United States. They were specifically positioned in the swing states, knowing that in the next couple of years, if DACA and DAPA, if the Supreme Court stupidly, I'll use that word as Barack Obama likes, actually warrants those illegal activities against the Constitution, DAPA and DACA, that they'll become U.S. citizens and they'll be able to vote in those swing states. Not to mention Terry McAuliffe giving 206,000 felons the right to vote in Virginia. So I agree with you that it's going to be
that is the plan to swamp
fought.
the Republican voting base, which is why the communists have basically just given driver's licenses to illegal aliens in California. It makes it so much easier for them to vote. They don't even need citizenship. They just need to be there and hop on an SEIU bus and go from polling place to polling place, voting multiple times.
You're absolutely right, and we've seen it in past elections. Look, there's going to be a voter fraud ratio of anywhere between, it's usually between 4 and 7%, but I think in this election, with the animosity from the illegal immigrant population against Donald Trump and the left wanting to secure Barack Obama's horrific legacy, I think you're talking about anywhere between 8 and 12, maybe even 15% of voter fraud in these swing states. So if Donald Trump is out there and he's listening, forget about attack ads right now. Spend your billions of dollars on voter fraud prevention. That would be the first thing that I would suggest to the campaign.
I would absolutely agree.
Now, let's talk about some of your books, The Enemy Within and Barack Obama and the Enemy Within. You were one of the first people to correctly identify Frank Marshall Davis, Communist ID number 47455, as a very close confidant of Barack Obama. We know that Frank Marshall Davis spent a lot of time with Barack Obama in his most formative years from 8 to about 18. Some believe that he still also might have been the father of Barack Obama as his real father. Barack Obama Sr. doesn't really look like Barack Obama at all, so it could have been an affair with his mother, and they spawned this child, which obviously would make sense because Barack Obama is certainly lighter than his father. But you talked a lot in that book about the communists and socialists in the U.S. government. I mean, some of them are Elizabeth Warren, who we just spoke about, Dick Durbin, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Barbara Boxer, Al Franken. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's a reason the American people, when they think about politics and the people that they despise, they usually say Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, because they are, for all intents and purposes, communists. My question is this.
Well, I would just dispute that. All the people you named I would call communist, except for Harry Reid. I think he's just more of a gangster who goes along to get along. But he's certainly going along with the agenda. I think he's just after personal power. Mm-hmm. But all the rest of those you named are radical leftists, absolutely.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What was your reaction to the people that you pointed out as socialists, revolutionaries, Marxists, progressives, what have you? I mean, look, the progressive caucus, congressional caucus, might as well be renamed the Communist Congressional Caucus, because
Absolutely.
a lot of them have very close ties with Communist Party USA and George Soros Open Society and some of these other folks.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you pointed out these folks?
Well, the reaction has been very, very limited. I think Marcy Kaptur, the congresswoman from Ohio, and Sherrod Brown denied my accusations. Well, they didn't deny the accusations. They denied my interpretation of the facts. But other than that, most of them have been silent, and they will be silent because I draw from their own words. I draw from pretty deep research, and I can back up everything I say. See, one of the main ways I get my information is what I call archival research. You know, every town has a bunch of communists, and when these people get old, they leave their papers to the local library or the local university library because they think somebody's going to write a biography of their great Marxist life in 100 years' time. So I just go through that stuff. And it's just incriminating evidence all the time. So, look, when I say Barbara Lee is a communist, or John Conyers is a communist, or Rosa DeLauro is a communist, that's not hyperbole. That's not me exaggerating. That is hard, cold fact.
Now, let's touch on something else that you've mentioned, that the Senate and Congress do not have a security background check. Is that correct? Because obviously if they did, Barack Obama wouldn't be president because he wouldn't be able to pass a security background check. So a lot of these folks that are in Congress have not been vetted for security details. Is that correct?
Well, that's exactly right. See, if you work for HUD or the Department of Education or the Department of or most U.S. government departments, you need an FBI security check. And they can take months, and they can go through your underwear drawers, they can check out your family background, criminal convictions, drug habits, etc., because they need to trust you. You're working for the federal government. But if you're a young Marxist radical, a young Communist Party supporter who hangs around with the local unions and they control a local Communist Party, like Raul Grijalva or Kirsten Sinema, for instance, I'm sure you know both of them, you can get elected to Congress or even the Senate, and you may serve on the Education Committee or the Homeland Security Committee or the Armed Services Committee or even the Intelligence Committee, and there's no security checks, none. I will do a caveat on that. I believe intelligence is one of the few government committees that does have some checks, but the results of those go to the Department of Justice, Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder, or to the president. So they're basically ineffective. So, but any other body, judiciary, Homeland Security, etc., none. You know, because the people are supposed to vet the candidates, and the media is supposed to help you do it. But what if the media is on the left and doesn't want to expose their buddies? What happens then?
Right. Exactly. Let me ask you this before we get to the movie. Do you think realistically that Donald Trump has a legitimate chance to win in November of 2016, or do you think that the Never Trump crowd and the Cruz supporters that refuse to go out there and support Donald Trump is going to be too great, or do you think if Hillary is the nominee, or maybe you don't think that she will be, what are your thoughts on the end game here in the next couple of months?
Look, I think Trump could beat Hillary. That is why I think it'll be Joe Biden running with Elizabeth Warren, because he'll be a lot harder to beat. See, the thing with the Never Trump crowd is this. They have very little, and I count myself in that, they have very little concern, the very deep concerns about Trump, his Russian connections, his flip-flopping, his a whole bunch of options. So what Trump can do to win is this. And the first step he's done, I'll give him credit for that, he's named a bunch of conservative Supreme Court justices. That will give some confidence. Then he must appoint a very conservative vice president
Right.
It can't be a Democrat, as Ben Carson says he's considering. Then he needs to actually name his cabinet before the election and run with that cabinet. And what I mean, like, Jeff Sessions is Homeland Security.
Yes.
Rand Paul, Secretary of the Treasury, let him do what he damn well wants to the Federal Reserve and the IRS. John
Ben
Bolton,
Carson as
Secretary
Surgeon
of
General,
State,
maybe? Ben Carson as Surgeon General, maybe?
Yeah, or Head of Health and Human Services.
Mm-hmm. Christie as Attorney
you should
General.
name your cabinet. They've got to be full of conservatives, and they've got to be running as a team. If Trump does that, I think he can beat anything the Democrats throw at him. But if he tries to stand as the lone quarterback against the entire liberal media and the communist movement in this country, he will get smashed. They have so much dirt on him, it's just unbelievable. So, but if he runs as a team, like Mike Lee, Secretary of the Interior, and make his job to return all of the federal lands back to the states. You could name a conservative cabinet like Scott Walker, Secretary of Labor, right to work in every state. Bobby Jindal,
the left would love that
Secretary of Education.
Scott Walker
they'd love
for Secretary of Labor.
But Bobby Jindal, Secretary of Education, abolish the department, abolish Common Core. Mm-hmm. See, if Trump did that, he could reunite the conservative base, because there's 20% of conservatives who will not vote for Trump. And if he thinks, no matter what, and if he thinks he can win without those conservatives, I think he's delusional.
Right.
So
I would agree with that.
I want Hillary to be defeated, absolutely, or Joe Biden, because another Democratic administration is going to mean 8, 10, 12, 20 million illegals given citizenship and voting rights.
And the end of America.
And as Mitt Romney lost the last election by 2.5 million votes, you can see that there will never be another Republican president.
Ever again.
You will have a communist America from that point.
I 100% agree with that analysis. I've been saying it for the longest time that the Republicans are brain dead and stupid if they think coddling and reaching out to illegal aliens and trying to give them citizenship is somehow going to make them fall in love with Republicans and have them vote. These illegal aliens that come here, it's a 70 to 30 split. 70% are Democrats. Maybe, if you're lucky, 30% will become Republicans. But again, as I've said before, it is the Globalcratic Party of Washington. This election is truly not about left and right. It's not about conservative versus liberal. It's not about Republican versus Democrat. It is about nationalism versus globalism. And if people look at it in that frame, I think the choice is extremely easy. And if you need any more motivation, you can look at the 4 or 5 Supreme Court justices that can barely fog a mirror as more motivation. I'd rather roll the dice with Donald Trump's picks.
Look, absolutely. But Americans have to have their eyes open on this. And if you look, the only thing that conservatives have that don't like Trump is their leverage. If they all pile in behind Trump now, there is no leverage left. If they hang back and say, show us your Supreme Court picks, show us your VP, show us your cabinet, and win us over. That's the way for Trump to do this.
Exactly. And be specific. In other words, when you appoint such and such of your cabinet, here's what they are going to be in charge of, and here's what they promise to do. It's almost like a contract with America 2.0, but instead of just being with Congress, it is with the presidential candidate and the arms, or the tentacles, if you will, of the incoming administration. I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea. In an unconventional 2016 race, why not throw more unconventionality to the wind and do something that really hasn't been done before? Let's switch gears here, and let's talk about The Enemies Within. This is a movie that you are trying to get made. It is based off of your amazing best-selling books, The Enemies Within. Tell us a little bit about it, how the process has been going, and what made you decide to turn your book into something on the big screen.
Well, look, I've spoken to more than 400 groups around your country in the last 4 years, and I've sold thousands and thousands of books. But that's still a drop in the ocean compared to the voting base out there. We think a movie can reach tens of millions of people. We think it can hit the theaters. We think it can go through the grassroots networks, Netflix, the whole lot. We want to influence this election. We're very blatant about that. So the movie will be called The Enemies Within. It's coming out in a few weeks, and it's going to expose the security risks in your government, in your Senate, and your Congress. We say there are at least 100 members of your House and 20 members of your Senate who are so enmeshed in neo-communism or Muslim Brotherhood fronts that they would not be able to pass an FBI security check to sell you stamps at the post office. They wouldn't be allowed to clean the toilets at any military base in your country. Yet they're serving on the Armed Services Committee, the Intelligence Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, and they're trashing America every single chance they get, working with America's enemies. The tagline will probably be, could your congressman pass an FBI security check? And I think that's something Americans need to consider. This will expose the Marxist roots of Obamacare, the Marxist roots of amnesty, why the communists are gutting your military, and they are gutting your military.
Yes, they are.
Why the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to start a race war in this country, and they are. All of these things are linked. All of them are to do with destroying America's sovereignty once and for all. We want to expose this like no one's exposed it ever before.
Well, God bless you for doing that. Where can people go to donate money to get this movie made, and also to learn more about you and some of the things that you do and some of the things that you're working on?
Well, the movie's about 90% funded now, but we do want some extra. You know, the more money we get now, the better we can distribute. The distribution budget is key. So go to my daily blog, trevorloudon.com. Loudon is Loudon, trevorloudon.com. If you go there, you'll see icons where you can buy my books. On the right-hand side of the blog, there's also a Fund This Movie icon. Go there. You can see a trailer, a short trailer of the movie, and you can chip in some dollars. So every bit is appreciated. Every $10, $20, $50, we welcome it all, because that's going to help get this movie out with a real hiss and a roar. The movie's going out there. That's absolute. The matter is how widely we can distribute it and how quickly we can do that with the election looming.
Absolutely. Well, Trevor, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor having you on the program. The guest is Trevor Loudon. The movie is The Enemies Within. Go to trevorloudon.com, trevorloudon.com, folks. Please buy his books, help support this movie, and God bless you for all the work that you are doing, Trevor. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much, Josh. Thanks for having me on anytime. You're extremely knowledgeable, and that makes the interview much easier to conduct.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And again, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, okay?
Thank you, Josh.
Okay. Bye. All right, folks. So that was Trevor Loudon. This guy's an absolute patriot. This is somebody that loves America. And, I want to point something else out. It's very interesting and amazing to me that there are a lot of conservatives that, are from other countries that are really doing God's work here and really trying to wake up the American people, because they have been on the other side. They understand the dangers of collectivism, socialism, progressivism, and communism. Okay, we're talking, Mark Stein, a great patriot. Dinesh D'Souza is coming out with a fantastic new movie, Hillary's America, that he's going to be running during the conventions. And, of course, Trevor Loudon. So God bless each and every one of them for trying to wake up the American electorate that is totally asleep at the wheel. And hopefully these types of things and actions will eventually start to get these people out of their sleep and realize that we are completely under attack. And as Trevor mentioned, and I certainly would agree with him, this could be the last election that we ever see if we don't, God forbid, get this thing right. Thank you all for being with me. Until next week, God bless.
Thank you for joining the Josh Bernstein Show. Unabashed, unafraid, and unapologetic. Holding America to a higher standard. For more information on The Josh Bernstein Show or to connect with Josh, just go to StarWorldWideNetworks.com.